Hey, so we're here at Colony. It's one of the factories that we work with, and they do a lot of budget-friendly options in that. And because of the fact that they focus on budget-friendly, they do manufactured and modular. We get so many people that ask, what is even the difference between the two? I thought they were the same thing. So we're standing in a manufactured home. And so I want to point out some of the things that are very clearly different from an aesthetic standpoint. There's a lot of structural things as well, but let's point out some of the aesthetic things here. So if you look here, you can see the walls are vinyl. These are not drywall walls. Okay, so you get these break points in here and stuff, and usually have some sort of a pattern on them, which, you know, it looks fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but you know, when you're looking for a new build home, this is probably not what you're looking for. And then things like the trim. If you look, there's this really low profile on this trim, you know, for a few reasons. One is because it's less expensive, and also you know, cuts down on some of the space and things like that. So you get this these ceilings like this. So a lot of times on manufactured homes, they'll end up doing you know, more of a vaulted ceiling in there. And when you do get a flat ceiling, you'll get the same sort of ceiling type as you will in a vaulted space, where it's not a drywall ceiling. It's this, you know, almost kind of textured look to it and stuff. So those are some simple things to point out the difference between. Usually you're going to have vinyl floors as your standard. There's plenty of modular homes that do vinyl floors as well, so that's not necessarily something particularly different, but usually budget is always the key in everything that they're doing. And that's so just wanted to point a few of these things out to you as you're thinking about, you know, modular, manufactured. What's the difference between these two things?
Wall height 7.5.
Wall
typically?
height, yes, that's true. The exterior, when it's a sloped ceiling,
yeah,
your exterior wall height is usually 7.6, and so on this it's probably is this 7.6 or is this 8?
7.6.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So usually they'd go, you know, that's part of the reason why they do the vault, and it's, you know, it's to make it look a little bit nicer.
7.6 up to 8.6.
Exactly.
Like that,
yeah.
right,
but
right.
the ceiling or the roof stays on, right? They don't tip it up.
Fixed 212.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So just these little things that make a huge difference when you're thinking about, well, what's actually the difference? You know, the other aspect of the difference is you know, what town is gonna be okay with having a manufactured home in it versus a modular. Modular is built to the same code requirements as site built, so there's no, you know, differentiation from a code standpoint in what they're going to allow where. For manufactured, because it's built to HUD code requirements, which is a completely different standard, a lot of times either they'll say, well, you can't have any in this town at all, or it's got to be in a specific community. What typically, as you get more rural, they usually are fine with it, because there's usually less rules. You're going to not have setback requirements and things like that as well.
But also the big thing is if it's on a foundation or not. So when
That's
you're comparing
true, yeah.
prices with modular and HUD, you know, you're talking about difference. Conventional financing versus a chattel loan.
Yep.
Right? Because manufactured home, typically you're going to keep it on a trailer with wheels.
Right.
So typically that's not going to go on a foundation.
And it's, then it can move, obviously, because it's on
move,
wheels.
so you can't get a regular mortgage on it.
Right.
You do save money because it's not in a basement. Right. But it's just a completely different paradigm of home building.
Yeah.
And, right.
The way I describe it is basically it's what's the goal that you have in mind? Is it are you just trying to solve a problem of the fact that you need a home, and so manufactured is a perfectly viable option, or are you trying to make an investment into your future, which would be in line with modular because it's going to appreciate in value over time.
That's true.
And be more of an investment long term.
Yeah.
So
these depreciate, and a modular home on a foundation appraises the same, appreciates the same, mortgage is the same.
Exactly.
So it's a completely different. All right. So what you want to go through the rest of it real quick?
Sure. Yeah. So, you know, a lot of times this is where you get into, I mean, here, you can see here, you get these much lower roof lines, you know, on manufactured usually.
Yeah.
Modular, your starting point is usually 512. You can go up from there, of course. And a lot of times you get into these single wide and these sorts of words that you hear people use.
Yeah.
The complicated part is prefab is something that can actually be used for both manufactured and modular, because it's just prefabricated.
Right?
Sure.
Prefab walls, right?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of stick builders are doing prefab walls.
Yeah, so prefab is kind of a word that should just get thrown out altogether, because it just kind of it balls everything into it, you know, which makes things confusing. But, you know, this is the important thing to be paying attention to. You know, you see the trim along the ceiling and that. You know, obviously some people do like crown molding, but that's not why this is here. This is here because you have these two different material types.
Yeah.
On a drywall wall, it's going to be drywall ceiling as well, so you don't need to do that. Yeah. You know, so just some little things to be pointing out. What's there? Here's here. Oh, look at that nice panel box side. Look at that.
So I think that's 100 amp as well.
That's the other part too, right? You know, the modular is going to be 200 amp.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because you got, you know, garages, you got porches, you got basements.
Yeah.
So it does need to be bigger anyway to accommodate the rest of what you're doing. Another simple, small difference that you'll see is things like, you're more likely to see, these self-edge sort of look to things. Not that you can't do other things, but this is more commonly associated with that because it's just, cutting budgets down and that sort of thing. So just little things like that. They're a perfectly great solution if it's what you need. But if you're just looking for homes in general, you're probably not looking at manufactured. That's probably not what you're looking for. So yeah, that's all. We just wanted to share this with you as you're thinking about what to build. A lot of times towns don't even know the difference between the two, so you really got to clarify and stuff like that. So we hear from time to time from homeowners that are, say, well, I talked to the town and they said, we'll have to check if you can build a modular home here. And that's not actually the case because they think you're talking about manufactured, and that's usually where the confusion lies. So there's still a lot of misunderstandings that need to get clarified in that. So you just got to be able to work through these things with lenders and with towns and with your builder and that. So
reach out to John with any other questions.
That's right.
Comment with questions. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for watching.